Meghalaya, the abode of clouds, is spread between the Surma and the Brahmaputra valleys. These majestic clouds seem to hide beneath them a magical treasure trove. Nature itself admires its magnificence here. Meghalaya is bestowed with inviting landscapes, gurgling streams, limpid lakes, and refreshing air from whispering conifers. It is nature in all its glory. The cosmopolitan state is inhabited by all the communities of the country. The native population of the state consists of the Khasi, Jayantia, and Garo tribes. Affluence is largely visible in the cities. Here, people are prosperous and joyful. Nature has blessed them with plenty of contentment and happiness. The state comprises of Khasi, Jayantia, and Garo hills. The Khasi Hills Autonomous District Council at Shillong covers the East and West Khasi Hills districts and the Ribhoi district. The Jayantia Hills Autonomous District Council at Jawai covers the Jayantia Hills district. The Garo Hills Autonomous District Council at Tura covers the East, the West, and the South Garo Hills districts.
The total geographical area of the state of Meghalaya, it is around 22,429 square kilometer. As per Forest Survey report, say about 70% of the area is covered with forest cover. Now, out of the total forest cover, only 6% of the area it is directly under the control of the State Forest Department. Rest of the forest cover, it is under the control of the Autonomous District Council or under private ownership of say Rajas, Siams, Dolois, or Nakmas in case of Garo Hills. Now, our major role as Forest Department, say we look after the management of forest and protection of wildlife.
The Garo Hills of Meghalaya is one place which has a very diverse system of management of forests. This is because the Constitution of India permits through the 6th schedule that a parallel and an autonomous district council has been established in the state, and all the powers of forestry, forest management, forest protection, transit passes and transit rules are all applicable to them as much as they are applicable to the State Forest Department. In the rest of the country, we find the Forest Department looking after the entire forests of the state. But here in Meghalaya and in Garo Hills particularly, it's a little different. Throughout the entire area of Garo Hills, which is roughly about 9,000 square kilometers, 238 square kilometers of this only is vested with the state government under forest management. The rest of the areas are all falling under the control of the district councils.
We have got two different types of forests. One is village reserve forest and one is district council forest, which is again constituted by the district council. Now the land system in Garo Hills is quite different from the rest of the country. the land belongs to clans. We call it Akhang lands. There is about more than 1,000 Akhang lands in whole of Garo Hills, and these are owned by clans, and their chieftain is known as Nokma, and Nokma is the custodian of the land, though he does not own the land as such. And as a result, the clan lands are being used by non-clan members also from outside their Akhang land, but it needs the prior consent of the Nokma concerned and the clans concerned. Now, the district council approves of the decisions taken by the Nokmas or the chieftains. In case it has to issue settlement or conversion of lands, they always come to the district council, and basically the district council is the custodian of the lands, official custodian, though at the Akhang land, at the level of the Akhang land, the Nokmas are the custodian. So the village forests, the village reserve forests are constituted again by the district council, and it is looked after by the local people consisting of the Nokma, that is the chieftain.
Under the circumstances here, we therefore have two organizations that are dealing in forestry. In the course of time, the two organizations functioning together brought about some overlapping powers and some overlapping authorities and some overlapping exercises, and these have brought in the problems which come in with a dual system of functioning. Places where we thought we had our authority, we now doubt. In areas which we thought once upon a time that the district council had its authority, we now find that we have gained access there, and so the system continues with this doubtful approach to it all. Somehow in the process, the reserves, all the reserve forests in the Garo Hills have, I can say, relatively been protected and have been saved from the damages of overfelling and overexploitation. But the same cannot be said for the areas which are in the district council areas.
Because of infrastructural problems, the district council is also unable to look after every nook and corner of these Akhang lands, and so also the State Department, I'm sure, because in most cases it's very difficult to look after the whole stretches of forests, and the topography is also so to say it's a difficult terrain, and that is the reason why we find difficulty in maintaining the forest areas.
Meghalaya is very rich in minerals. The chief among them which are exploited are coal, limestone, sillimanite, uranium and kaolin clay. The state has an estimated 5,000 million tons of limestone deposits. The quality of limestone found in the state ranges from the chemical to cement grade. One of the best sillimanite reserves of the world is found in the West Khasi Hills district. The quality of coal is amongst the best in the country. Tura Peak is one of the most important reserve forests in Garo Hills.
The forest in the background is called Tura Peak Water Catchment Reserve Forest. It was declared a reserve forest in 1982 by the government of Meghalaya, having an area of 4.2 square kilometers and an altitude of about 4,000 feet. The type of forest is evergreen forest, and like any other evergreen forest in the country, the floral composition is more or less similar. A lot of significance is attached to this reserve forest, particularly for Tura Township. Not only does it add to the scenic beauty of the landscape, provide trekker's paradise or clean and unpolluted environment, it is very critical to the water supply schemes of Tura. Brooks, streams and rivers flowing down from this reserve forest supplies the water requirements of Tura town population. In this reserve forest, you will find a dense virgin forest cover, whereas in the adjacent forest areas, the vegetation cover is scanty. The scant forest cover has a telling effect of the dependence of the local people on forests for fuel, fodder, timber and other means of livelihood. Unlike the Jaintia and Khasi Hills district of Meghalaya, there is no concept of private ownership of land and forest.
Among the most important tree cover is the pine trees. This pine is commonly known as Khasi pine, or in botanical terms, it is Pinus cassia. These pine trees are markedly different from those which are found on the central and western Himalayas. The resin content is less here, and therefore, the pine trees are not exploited for the extraction of resin. The species is valuable to the people. It is used as a multi-purpose tree, and the people in Meghalaya use this tree for timber and making furniture. The broad-leaved forest, which is the original vegetation of Meghalaya, has been destroyed by human activities like shifting agriculture, timber and fuel exploitation. The land, which is cleared by these disturbances, is quickly occupied by this pine species. It has the ability to colonize quickly, grow fast, and cover the entire area. It does not require any management practice as is required for other tree species which are found in the region. It is not efficient in intercepting rainwater as is done by the broad-leaved species. As a result of this character, it is not efficient in maintaining the hydrology of the region. Its growth increases and attains peak somewhere between 10 to 15 years. During this period, it produces a lot of timber as well as a large amount of cones. These cones are much smaller than the cones produced by the species found in the western Himalayas. The pine needles are used for fuel as well as for making mats and mattresses.
Nokrek National Park was constituted in 1986 with an area of 47.48 square kilometers. The land was acquired from clan-owned people, paying 1,50,000 per square kilometer. I think we can consider it very cheap. And it was constituted into a national park in 86. And later on, the government of India, and on 1st September 1987, declared it as a biosphere reserve. Now, why Nokrek? Nokrek is the home of many wild relatives of the now domesticated plants. The most famous of them is the Citrus indica. It is a wild relative of the domestic orange. And nowadays, since it is endemic, there are very, very few places in which this wild relative of the domestic orange is found. And therefore, the significance of this place, and initially, before the constitution of Nokrek National Park as a national park, it was declared and conserved as the Citrus Gene Pool Sanctuary.
Nokrek National Park has not only Citrus indica, but it also has a lot of medicinal plants, some of which are Renote or Gynocardium odoratum, the fruit of which is used for the treatment of hydrocele. Mycania mycorrhantha is a creeper. It is used as an antiseptic. The leaves and bark of Calicarpa microphylla are also used as antiseptic. The leaves of clerodendron are boiled in water and the extract is taken for reducing blood pressure. The leaves, ground to a fine paste and applied on the forehead, are used for treating headaches. Khasi badam or Casthanopsis leaves are used for treating newborn babies with fever and vomiting. Oryzilum indicum leaves are boiled and the water extract is used for the treatment of jaundice. The extract from the leaves of Taxus baccata is considered good for the treatment of cancer. Pitcher plant is one of the miraculous plants in existence. About 60 to 62 species of varieties of this plant have already been recorded so far in Southeast Asia.
The pitcher plant is found in Meghalaya only. The botanical name of this plant is Nepenthes cassina and it is first discovered by the English botanist Sir J.D. Hooker in 1873. This plant grows in a humid region and in the slope of the hills. It is a undershrub and it grows along with the bushes because it cannot tolerate this direct sunlight. The pitcher is a modification of the leaf and it is an insectivorous plant. In the immature pitcher plant, the pitcher is unopened and in this unopened pitcher we have this flute. And as it matures, the lids open. This pitcher plant attracts insects by the nectar surrounding the rim of the pitcher and by its colorful lid. It also emits a kind of a sun which attracts mosquitoes, flies and other small insects. And when the insects start hovering around the rim in search of nectar, they fall down the pitcher and gets drowned in the liquid. The liquid inside the pitcher contains various acids like citric acid and little bit of hydrochloric acid, then other substances like sodium, potassium and magnesium. It also contains this digestive enzyme known as pepsin, which could react with the insects. In Meghalaya, it is usually used by the local Kaviraj, where they used to treat people with various elements like those people are suffering from diabetes and suffering from urinary problems, and also in Garo Hills it is used for treating leprosy. Various part of the plant is mixed with other medicinal plant only known to the Kaviraj. The local name of this plant in Khasi Hills is known as Teorokot. In Gent Hills is known as Kset Pare, and in Garo Hills it is known as Mimongkokshi. This plant also is very remarkable because of the modification of the leaf, which ultimately get modified into a pitcher. The pitcher is the main attraction of this plant. In the natural condition, the pitcher plant grows, it varies. When it grows along the slope of the hills, it usually attains a height of few meters, and it also may twine up on a tree. But when it grows along the crevices of a rock, it is very small and it grows only very few centimeters.
Orchids are in full bloom in the months of May and October. Though they are in abundance, there is no commercial exploitation. Among the orchids found in the state are Vanda terrace, which are a lovely shade of pink. Another orchid found in the forest of Meghalaya is Vanda corulia, or the blue vanda. These are some of the rare and endangered species protected under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and are listed under Schedule 6 of the Act. An important and unique feature of the forests of Meghalaya are sacred groves. Here, no individual can even pluck a leaf, flower, or twig from the trees. The sacred groves contain immense diversity of plants. Perhaps in olden times, the villagers very prudently used them for medicinal purposes, and sacred groves were the protected areas. This resulted in the protection and preservation of forests. The people have religious belief attached to these sacred groves that if the branches or trees are cut, or flowers and fruits are plucked, or any kind of destruction is brought about in the groves, some gods and goddesses that reside there, as per popular belief, may get offended, and some evil may befall the local villagers. This belief, perpetuated by the wisdom of our ancestors, has kept these forest species in such a good and undisturbed condition. But there are some sacred groves which have been degraded and which need to be restored, for which suitable strategy will have to be evolved. These sacred groves are considered to be the repository of a rich gene bank. There is tremendous biodiversity in these groves. There are trees, large and small. There are shrubs, and orchids abound on the tree trunks. Apart from being a rich storehouse of biodiversity, these sacred groves serve as a source of crystal clear perennial water. All tourists or people engaged in related research may enter these groves only with the prior permission of the lingdo or the village priest. The state being located in the very corridor of the southwest monsoons, very heavy rainfall is a regular feature, and Cherrapunji, the recipient of annual rainfall of over 12,000 millimeters, is located here. The Cherrapunji Mawsynram belt has a record for the heaviest rainfall in the world.
We have this primitive method of cultivation. It is a slash and burn technique, that is we call jhum cultivation, and for that purpose a lot of trees have to be cut down, and thereby it destroys a lot of forest areas. The reason we cannot control this jhum cultivation is because of the fact that it is a traditional method of cultivation, and the fact that neither the district council nor the state government has not succeeded in motivating them for resorting to any other method of cultivation. This is because in jhum cultivation, when they slash and burn the land and then they plant the rice and any vegetable they plant under the saying in this jhum lands, they get the returns in 1 year within the same season, and not the same season, I should say, within say 6 months or 7 months, and they don't have to wait very long. Of course, it also depends on the vagaries of nature, but in most cases our people, they go for short-term returns.
Due to man's greed, because of the commercial deforestation that is taking place and mushrooming of sawmills, veneer mills and all the other industries, basically goaded by traders from outside the state. And therefore, whether it is because of need or greed, the forests in the state are disappearing.
The people resort to shifting cultivation or jhum, which is destroying the forests. Jhum cultivation has also proved to be an environmental disaster. The degradation of forest cover has resulted in denuding of land and a fall in the water retaining capacity. Soil erosion and landslides are frequent occurrences, causing destruction and disruption of normal activities.
It was almost impossible for the staff of the department to actually continue patrolling and looking after the reserve forests. Any activity that they did to stop uncontrolled felling of trees in the reserves almost meant that they would have had to sacrifice their own lives for it. And then, on the 12th of December 1996, the Honorable Supreme Court passed an interim order in the writ petition number 202 of 95, whereby it put a ban to all the felling and all forest activities in the Garo Hills. The moment that came about, we were able to pass on this ban or this interim order that the Supreme Court had passed to all the district authorities. And once this came into force, all the sawmills were closed, all the veneer mills were closed, all fellings inside the forests came to a halt, all transportation of timber came to a halt, and when all this came to a halt, we had some breathing space. We had some time now within which we could reorganize ourselves, recoup our forces, rearrange our stand, examine what were the causes and what is the best approach to bring about now a control once again to the damage that had been caused to these areas.
In an effort to make up for this, afforestation programs on a massive scale have been initiated at the government's behest. Vast nurseries have been set up. People are provided with plants free of charge or on nominal rates. Large areas have been brought under plantations and green patches are being recreated. Fruit orchards have also come into being, which help in the economic well-being of the people.
We cannot destroy the forest just as we like. We have a stake. Our children are at stake. As someone said, we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers. We have just merely borrowed it from our children.
Oh Nora, Nora, paano ba ang danggiyan? Sokegen maang araw, balpakram songona. Ang di danggi, bon kamao, deng takchina, balpakram mo, lulitang sa. Achi tayo, Maratina, Atekrangmo, Rotoa, Dongtoa, Ang liate